Let's start with Padre baseball. Nice headline, addition by subtraction. I've been talking about this for a period of time, and I'll just ask the burning question. The Padres have become pennant contenders over the last couple of years. The blueprint that A.J. Preller has refined has started to work. But with the passing of Peter Seidler, new leadership, new philosophy, things I think have changed as it relates to how the Padres are going to operate going forward. Cut the payroll this past season, evidently not willing to bump the payroll up this coming season. They got contract problems with 7 guys that are due healthy pay raises. Does not appear they're going to be able to keep all of them. I will ask this burning question, and I want you to respond on Fans Forum early by jumping on board and give me a reaction. The fans in this community have set records 2 years in a row as it relates to attendance, sellouts, etc. The volume of money the Padres have generated in revenue across the board is at an all-time record. And yet they're taking this payroll from $231 million down to $170 million, and that's where they're going to stay. And they're going to lose players by the process of the fact guys who had good seasons deserve pay hikes. I'm just asking the question. Your Padre fans have shown up and paid an unbelievable amount of money to go support Padre baseball. Ticket prices have gone up 50% in a 4-year window. You've done your job. Don't you think Padre ownership owes it to you to bump this payroll back up, maybe go from 170 to 190 so you can keep this core team intact and not have to trade people? That's one of the burning questions I'm posing in Fans Forum right now. We get a lot of response to what we talk about in baseball. I want you to respond if you can there. Now, let's go bullet point by bullet point as it relates to where the Padres are. They are shopping Dylan Cease, whom they paid quite a price to get from the Chicago White Sox. They got the through no-hitter, the guy that was rock solid up until his final start of the season when they get knocked out of the playoffs. The Red Sox and the Orioles are very interested. I thought they had a shot to move him to the Red Sox. He's got this year arbitration, pay probably $13.6 million. Padres don't think they can afford that. I thought they were going to trade him into the Red Sox for power-hitting young first baseman Tristan Casas and maybe a minor league pitcher. But now the Red Sox are talking to Seattle about Casas going there for one of the Mariners' pitchers. So that deal looks like it may have stalled. There's been an awful lot of talk also, obviously, about moving other players. They got a lot of unsigned guys. What are they going to do next? And that becomes a real big arguing point as we go forward with this Padres team as to who do you keep, who do you let go? They have talked about Cease to Baltimore for young pitching sensation Cade Povich and another pitcher or possibly an outfielder. But at this point, I don't think Baltimore wants to take on a $13.6 million contract. So the Padres are kind of between the rock and a hard place. They have shopped Luis Arraez. Reputation precedes him. Great. Eye contact singles hitter. Not great in the field, doesn't run the bases well, has negligible power. Yet, because of arbitration, Luis Arraez could earn them $14.8 million. I don't think the Padres want to do that. I don't know how marketable he is right now. I guess the sidebar question, if you trade Cease and you trade Arraez and you get young players back, that sounds good in theory, but you're creating massive holes on your roster if you're getting younger guys to replace proven commodity guys. So the burning question, how do you improve your team if you're creating holes in your team? Or as John Riley's headline says, addition by subtraction. And with apologies in advance, you can't sales pitch season ticket holders that all is well if you think your rotation's going to involve Adrian Morejon, Brian Hoeing, Vasquez, Waldron, Brito. All is not well if that's what your rotation winds up being. Now, there are guys out there. Behind the curtain, Jack Flaherty, the Dodgers, still available. Walker Buehler, still available. Padres will be part of the bidding process for Roki Sasaki, but you can't think it's a lock because everybody else has a sales pitch they're going to make, and some of these other teams have been big-time winners. Padres did pick up a starting pitcher in the Rule 5 draft, Juan Nunez, 2.45 ERA at AA, velocity and all that, but he's young. He's never really done it, never been above AA ball. Now, as a Rule 5 guy, he's stuck on this roster all year. Otherwise, you have to offer him back to the Baltimore Orioles. So the Padres come out of the winter baseball meetings, quote, laying groundwork for everything. But there's question marks everywhere. Question marks, what do you get for Cease? Can you move Arraez? Are you creating massive holes in your roster if you dump those two guys? And my bigger question of the day, doesn't ownership owe the fans of this community to build this roster and increase this payroll, considering how this community has poured all of its money into fan-supported Petco Park? End of sermon for me. John Riley, the podium is yours. I threw a lot of high, hard ones at you. Don't foul them off. Put it in play. Go ahead.
It's funny how, you're saying on one hand, guys like Luis Arraez, just a one-dimensional player. Is he really worth the money? And on the other hand, you're saying they need to pay him the money. They need to put the money on the table. Now, I'm just going to take a bit of a devil's advocate here. Again? No, but some of the fans on social media have been saying that, even if their payroll is at 170 or 180 or 190, whatever that is, that's still a lot. Isn't that like still in the top 10 in Major League Baseball? It's not like we're going back to the Chris Denorfia days of the Padre baseball. So we're still dealing with a lot of money. I think, I have confidence in Preller. He's going to find a way to parlay this to get value for value. And if he can't pick up anybody, or maybe he can't move Cease and move Arraez, then maybe you sign those guys. But then, Morejon has shown flashes of being a starter. He was a number 5 starter before he hurt his arm the second time. He could be a number 4 or number 5 guy. I mean, that could work. Hoeing was kind of a long reliever. He could potentially work as well. So it's not like we're to the Dodgers. We can't compare ourselves with that. But as long as we have a competitive team, I'm good. Just find a way to not tear it down.
But if you move Cease and you move Arraez, so you're not tearing it down?
Well, it depends what you get in return. I mean, if you get a bunch of single A prospects, then yeah, you're tearing it down. But if he's able to find guys that are like pre-arbitration, or before, like they have 2 or 3 years left of control, there's a way he could finagle it. And Preller is very savvy. I mean, he gets a lot of crap for all this. You say trade away the farm system 3.5 times, but he keeps replenishing it, and we still have a great roster right now. I mean, if you were to take the names we have on the list today, I think at least half, if not 2/3 of the GMs in baseball would love to have our roster.
But the problem is they got 7 they got to pay. And they evidently are sending these messages that we can't do this because those guys upstairs won't allow us to do it. But that's the issue.
Right. And on one level, that's true. He's getting hard payroll numbers. But on the other hand, he's just talking. He's negotiating. He's putting topics on the table, to see who's going to bite, what kind of bait is going to work, and what can he get in return.
If he walks through the door and behind this curtain and yells at me, I got Sasaki and we're getting Flaherty, or I got Sasaki and we're going to get Buehler. Okay, that's fine, because you got established people to replace the guys that you're moving. But I guarantee you, if Boston trades Cassis, the power hitting first baseman, to Seattle, then Cease to Boston can't be done. And Baltimore said, no, we're not going to pay $14 million to Dylan Cease. They've got just a cadre of young players, but they don't want to take on a $14 million payroll. And from what I gather, there's not a hell of a lot of people in the running for Arraez, because they all see what happened in Minnesota, Miami, and now in San Diego. His one dimension is fine, but his one dimension is not a $14 million player. I don't know what Preller's going to do if he's backed into the corner.
Isn't it funny how $14 million doesn't sound like a lot of money anymore?
Yeah.
Because everyone's making 30, 40, 50 mil a year.
Based on last week.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I've heard chatter, rumors, maybe these are just hopeful wishes from Padre fans. Can Xander Bogaerts be moved? Is he a guy that can maybe go back to the Red Sox?
No, not at that contract. Not on a contract that runs through age 42. No. And again, that falls to Preller's front door.
Mm-hmm.
A tough situation. Now, that being said, I wrote a column this week. I don't know whether you liked it or not. I said, Padre fans, don't go there. Don't go there. I was making reference to Padre fans. Don't push the panic button yet.
Right.
Now, if Sasaki comes off the board and he's not a Padre and Flaherty signs somewhere else or goes back to the Dodgers, then you got a problem. By the way, the panic button is the red one in the upper right-hand corner. No, don't hit the yellow one because the yellow one will set off a nuclear war with North Korea. So anyhow, that's where we are. But spin back to my initial question at the top of this podcast. Padre fans, I'm looking for you to respond. You have supported this team to 3.3 million fans last year, record revenues, and all they're doing is cutting the payroll back further. Now, are they doing it to put the money in their pocket? Are they doing it to pay off the debt of all the money that Preller burned through in his first 8 years or so before he finally built a winner? But don't you agree with me, based on the support John Q. Fan has given that team, that they owe the fans an increase in the payroll to keep a pennant contending team intact rather than start to split it up? That is topic one. Feel free to join us. Fans Forum chat box is now open for Padre fans. Next topic, John.